Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day everyone. I am Kaniata Zakia. My ID number is T2019-6188 and I'm from English Education Department 4. In this chance, I would like to work on my Phonetic and Phonology assignment that is talking about morphophonemic. So let's get cracking on it. Well, language is the most important aspect in the life of all beings. We use language to express inner thoughts and emotions, make sense of complex and abstract thoughts, and also to learn how to communicate with others. When we are communicating with native speaker, we need a good language and pronunciation, of course. So that's why in English we know about linguistics and its process of learning. One of those is morphophonemic. So what is morphophonemic? Okay, morphophonemic is a branch of linguistics which studies about, first, the phonological structure of morphemes, second, the combinatory phonic modifications of morphemes which happen when they are combined, and third, the alternative series which serve a morphological function. In the other side, according to Merriam-Webster, morphophonemic is of or relating to a class of phonemes that belong to the same morpheme or to the relations among them and the conditions that determine their occurrences. Morphophonemic alteration of long vowel in open syllable and short vowel in closed syllable. Furthermore, in each word has a different process of morphophonemic. So how does morphophonemic work? Well, morphophonemic process is a process which happens to combine word or morpheme that will make changing the sound or the pronunciation itself, and it doesn't change the meaning. Sometimes it changes the phoneme of the morpheme itself. Okay, here are the process. So the first is the different pronunciations for the past tense maker ed. For example, want becomes wanted. That's the different pronunciation. So here, want is free morpheme and ed is morph or bound morpheme. Well, the second is allomorph. Allomorph is the change of pronunciation and the spelling when it's combined with another morpheme. For example, bags and glasses. Third, a suffix is a word that is added at the end of another word of past to work a new word. For example, it is happening in plurals, that is es and s, as in bus, as in the word of bus and buses, band and buns. The fourth is plural of f, is vs, as in the word of leaf and leaves. The next is about morphology. In morphology, there is now an inflectional morpheme which related with morphophonemic process. It also talks us about the morpheme which adds a phoneme, but it doesn't change the meaning. For example, stamp becomes stamps, and grape become grapes. That's all the process of morphophonemic. So let's go on to the next is about the chain. Yes, there are different kinds of morphophonemic chain in English. Those are first, loss of phoneme. For example, in the loss of phoneme T, when it changes to word class or adjective into a noun. For example, different becomes difference. Democrat becomes democracy. Okay, the second is addition of phoneme. One phoneme which is not presented in the normal allomorph may be added to another allomorph. For example, the phoneme of and is added to the normal form of solemn. It is pronounced as solemn in solemnize. B. The phoneme G is added to the normal form of long, becomes longer, and longes. And the third is simple chain of phonemes. The example which is mentioned or explained before, this is about the change from singular to plural. For example, lion becomes lions. Okay, the fourth is assimilation. Assimilation is a phonemic change which takes place when two morphemes are combined, and it results in neighboring phonemes becoming more like each other. For example, the negative prefix "int" becomes "int" in the word of impossible and imbalance. B. The prefix "and" "en" becomes in power and bitter. And the fifth is about the assimilation. The assimilation takes place when two morphemes are combined, and it results in neighboring phonemes becoming less like each other. For example, the negative prefix "in" becomes "ik" in the word of ignoble and ignominious. Next, about syntactics. It is the fusion of two consonants into a single new phoneme. For example, like in the PPT that I have shown you, an "a" becomes in the word of nature. And the second is the "s" that is staying in the word of pressure. Okay, the seventh is about change of syllabic vowel or diphthong. It's the substitution of another syllabic vowel or diphthong for the one which appears in the normal allomere. For example, in the word of swell becomes swollen. In the word of please becomes pleasant. Next is about starsive. It usually happens when a certain affix is added to a word. Examples: syntax becomes syntactic. Linguist becomes linguistic. Next is gradation. Gradation is when the process of derivation involves a starsive. It usually also involves certain types of vowel change. Examples: instrument becomes instrumental. River becomes rivers. And the last is about suppletion. Suppletion is the occurrence of an allomorph completely different in its phonemic structure from the normal form. For example, ox becomes oxen. Go becomes went. Well, that's all the explanation of morphophonemic definition, process, and change. Hope this video gives and elaborates you much more beneficials, and don't forget to always stay healthy. Don't forget to wear your masks because you know that coronavirus is still existing around us. Maybe that's all. If I have made many mistakes, I beg your pardon. And the last I say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.